Willson, and I always have to say 2 L's in Willson, otherwise they call me Williams or something. I'm from San Francisco. I went to San Francisco State. I taught high school. I taught English, speech, and drama. At the time, they weren't hiring in the public schools, so the only job I could get was in a Catholic school. And I'm not Catholic, so I thought, well, that's not going to work. And I was there 25 years. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. It was a small school, but it gave me a lot of contact with the students. It was a great way to earn a living, great part of my life. I moved here, so long ago, in '92. The school where I taught closed. My husband had a couple years to retirement, and so we moved here. And I can't believe I'm still alive, but I am. I had a friend, I never heard of it. It was the first year it started. A friend called me on a Sunday morning and she said, you have to come, I'm picking you up in 10 minutes. I had no idea. She dragged me over here. I paid $75. I really didn't know what I was paying it for, but once I caught on, it was just perfect. It was wonderful. I've been told there were 100 of us at the beginning. I thought there were fewer, but it was small. But there were some people who had been teachers. And I thought I would never teach again, for heaven's sakes. And then I became friends with a man called Keith Campbell, who had taught music in Medford. And they needed teachers, so we decided to team teach a class. And it was a hit. It was a big hit, and we felt good about it. So I taught every year that I was here until about 3 years ago, when my health didn't permit it anymore. I was the 3rd year as head of the council. I think of it as a transition year. A lot of the people, I'd say maybe a third really, of the people who signed up thought they were signing up for senior citizens group. I had one woman who all year long kept urging me to let her teach a class on how to throw a party. I mean, it was just, even though we had a mission, and it was strictly academic at the beginning in the mission, people really didn't get it, but some of us did. And I think the 3rd year was the year when we really started on the road, when we started to know who we were. But I'm talking about room A, which was our principal room, had cardboard on the windows. I mean, we were a mom and pop organization. And the volunteers did everything, and we couldn't really. So I had a woman who had a full-time job, which involved a lot of travel. She was never around. She was never around. So that year I accomplished 2 things, and it sounds so stupid and so minor. The first, I fought for, you won't believe, to get our own, and I'm using the wrong term, our own Xerox machine. We had no way to photocopy anything. It was just, it was so basic. And in this area, there was an after-school program for kids, and they had a Xerox machine. So the college kept saying, well, go there and use their machine. But every time we came, oh, we're out of paper. Oh, we're out of ink. Oh, we're using them. Yeah, it was just, it didn't work. But the people on the council, I had one woman who kept saying, I lived through the Depression. Well, hell, we all lived through the Depression. I mean, come on. And I just can't spend that kind of money. At the end of the year, we got a copy machine. And the other thing I accomplished, this was the biggie. I said to the guy, I forget his name now, he always wore a hat, what do you call it, education down on Siskiyou, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, down there, thank you. I said, I want somebody on campus at least half a day, every day. We have to have somebody in the office. And I had a friend, Aletha Lundblad, and I know she had worked, she had been a counselor She was a psychologist, I think, originally. And she'd worked on campus. She knew people. And I called her up and I said, apply for this job. And she did, and she got it. And she was really a take-charge woman. She just whipped everybody into shape. But once we got that copy machine and we had somebody on campus, things could really move. And the year after me, it was Diana Quirk who was president. And she's never forgiven me because I pushed her into it. But she is, I don't know if you know Diana, but she's a powerhouse. She's smart, she's capable, and she just took it, and then it took off. But I remember people saying, well, you know, we might be 200 people someday, 250 even. We didn't have a real vision of, nobody had a vision of how big we were going to be. It was an important year because I think we got our identity that year. I think we knew, and we fought, a number of us fought for the academic description. And a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, wanted to teach bridge. And we argued about this all year long. And finally, we decided that while bridge wasn't taught at the college level, at anywhere that we knew of, it nonetheless used the brain and was very good for people and kept them active, and it wasn't easy peasy stuff. So for a couple of years we had bridge classes, which people loved, but I never really was happy with it. I mean, I wanted really hard academic stuff. You know, one thing we did, because we were small enough we could do it, we took, not field trips, but journeys. I remember one day we went to wineries in the Applegate on a bus. We rented a bus. That was fun. There were other trips like that. I don't remember because I didn't go on them. We have a wonderful member, he's still with us, called Michael Jasperson. He's one of the original members. He had taught at the Naval Academy, a smart, lovely man. And twice he took us on a trip, I mean, we paid for it ourselves, obviously, but to Canada, to the Stratford Festival. And the deal was he would arrange for the transportation and the lodging, and he'd get the tickets for us, and then, you know, we were on our own. But I'd never been. I went both times. I'd never been to Stratford before. Oh, that was fabulous. It was a 2-year term at that time, so I had 1 more year as a council member. And other than teaching, which takes a lot of energy and time, that was my contribution after that. I'm not much on being committee chairperson and that sort of stuff. I'm a good backer-up person, second, you know, in command, but not the person in charge. I'm not comfortable with it. But I think the council has morphed quite a bit. I think at the beginning, people really didn't know what they were getting into. They didn't have a clear idea of who we were. And I'm thinking of this woman who kept protesting, we can't buy a copy machine because I lived through the Depression. Well, I don't think anybody in the council says that stuff today. I think they're smarter. I think they have a clearer vision of who we are and where we're going and how to get there. So I think the council is a much better organization than it was when we started. When we started, it was just, you know, you got elected because people sort of knew who you were. It never was going to work. You have to have fresh ideas and need more teachers. And the way you're going to get more teachers, you have more members. And it just didn't make any sense. It would have stultified it. It would have died, I think. The quality of the classes, I think. We had to scrabble for classes at the beginning. But like this semester, I'm taking a class in the Beethoven symphonies, music in the Rogue Valley, and Japanese art. Well, holy moly, those are good. It's good stuff. It's the quality. It's not just not make do things. Not I like the more intellectual classes. So I don't do how to handle getting old gracefully. I probably should. But there's a need for those classes, and I understand that. But I love the ones that challenge me. And I think they're great. I don't know where you could find better classes, seriously. I've had people say to me, I've moved here because of OLLI. Susan Streitham and I were talking the other day, and it was one of the reasons she moved here. Because of the theater, because she loved it, but also she could teach Shakespeare, and she could do those things. So, I don't have to take a class in how to grow old gracefully. I know that one of the things you do is you keep reading, and you keep thinking, and you keep learning new things. And like the man who teaches, Alan Pendleton, who's I'm sure you've interviewed already, I mean, he is so knowledgeable about Asian art. I mean, he's incredible. So I'm taking his class, but I cannot tell you about the history of Japan the way he can. A lot of the people who retire to Ashland are well educated. Many of them have had careers, many of them as teachers, and that just gives us something that, why would you not want to go to OLLI? How could you dream of not taking OLLI classes, you know? It's one of the things that when you get old is, and you retire, and if you've been working, you lose your identity. And one of the ways you recapture your identity is to become part of a community like this, whether you're teaching or on the council or whatever. You have a name and people know who you are again. But if you just retire, who cares? You know, you have no history, you have no identity, and you're invisible. So it's healthy, I think, for people to engage in this wonderful organization, and it is wonderful. I think the quality of the council has improved over the years. There was a period in the mid part where people had huge ideas about how we were going to grow and how we were going to have our own building and we were going to raise millions of dollars, and I thought, you know, let it grow incrementally, let it grow gradually, it'll find its level. What worries me is that there'll come a point where maybe we won't have enough classes and it gets too big, but that's just me worrying about stuff because it hasn't happened. You know, the bigger we get, the more new blood we have, the more energy, the more new ideas. So unless we run out of room, we can just keep going, I think. But we have lost a little bit, and I've heard people complain about this in the past, a little bit of the intimacy and the little band of people making something at the beginning that was kind of fun. And now I don't know most of the people in my class. I miss that. But they're very good about having social activities. I can't go to them very often because every time I go I have to get the Cascade shuttle, and you know, it's a big deal. Just to come to class is a big deal. By the way, OLLI subsidizes Cascade shuttle for people, which is incredible. Ordinarily, Cascade shuttle is $9 each way in town, no matter where you're going. With the subsidy from OLLI, it's $4. So I give a small tip, and for $10 round trip, I can come to class. Otherwise, it'd be $20, and I couldn't do it. So for those old biddies like me who don't have a car and don't drive, that's been absolutely brilliant. But, you know, it's helped a lot. So it's a great organization. And I think some of the people who have been presidents, the ones I know, impress me tremendously. They really do. Bright, hardworking people.